Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Non Sequitur Nerds. Tonight, we're back for round two. That's right, we're doing another Versus episode tonight. We had enough fun doing it last time. You guys seemed to like it, so we're going to do it again. So joining me, as always, is player two over here, Ian, and our teammate, Keenan. How you guys doing tonight?
Hey, we're doing pretty good. It's another capstone to a fantastic, not really, week, and we are here live with you. And Tim is, of course, sipping his Ghostbusters mug, which is the only way. For
like
him
you do.
Right. I use these kind of handy mugs that are, retain heat. I have a BB-8 mug that I got at a Reddit gift exchange, but
There you
it my tea gets cold very quickly.
go.
I have a Mando mug, but it would have been weird for me to drive with it up to Ian's house.
Well, there
True.
you go.
True enough. All right, so yes, you said it. Today is the round two of the versus match. So each of us have come semi-prepared, and when I say semi-prepared, I mean most of us pulled these lists out of our butts earlier today.
I mean,
but actually, I didn't because I still had my list from the last time. So
okay,
you got the leftovers.
The very first matchup on my list, like as soon as we finished recording that last episode, I'm like, all right, I've got a really good one. And that's literally all the farther I ever did on it, so the rest of mine are all stuff from tonight. So.
Nice. See, I don't have my list. I kind of wish that I did. I think I may have recreated one that I had on the original, but you know what? It's cool. I like starting from, a totally clean slate. So
There we go.
The last episode I thought was really fun. We were surprised ourselves, I think, at how entertained we had ourselves be from it.
Yes,
so
very
I'm
much.
excited to
since
come
that
back.
since that time, Keenan and I have, we took a little vacation down to Nashville, Tennessee, and we went to a zoo while we were there, and we have definitely determined that a bear would kick the crap out of a gorilla.
It has been confirmed with research.
We went to the Louisville Zoo, and they have gorillas there, and then they also have bears, but in particular a polar bear, which I guess is a much bigger bear. But still, the bear happened to be asleep like right in front of the glass, and we just saw how big their frickin' claws are. And don't get me wrong, gorillas are huge. That was, I think, the first time I physically saw a gorilla.
Yeah.
They're massive and quite powerful. But after we saw those claws, Ian turned to me, he's like, I think the bear would win. And I was like, what? I was like, oh, yeah. So
There was no contest there. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and kick things off, and I'll actually let Tim lead the pack. And when we're gonna what?
Nothing. I was actually going to let you lead because I thought I led last time.
How cute.
Whatever. We're just going to round robin.
Well, here we go. Let's have Keenan start.
All right. Yeah, that works.
There we go.
Oh, okay.
You were unprepared for our sneak attack.
No, I was unprepared because now I have to choose. I'll go with a physical bout.
Okay.
And actually I'll do one that is similar to one that I kind of enjoyed from last time. So last time I had two real famous people.
All right.
I asked to have them fight. So I'm doing another version of that, but with more current actors.
Okay.
So it's not characters that they played. It's them as physical, real, actual people.
Okay.
Who would win in a fight between Dave Bautista or Jason Momoa?
Oh, man. And I can already hear the fangirls out there saying, I want to see him wrestle. Oh, man.
Yeah, they probably want him to wrestle like old school Greco-Roman style.
Get the
oil. Naked and covered in oil.
Just completely naked.
Man, that's like, because I mean,
So-
like strength wise, I mean, they're both like they both train a lot.
I'm going to give you some quick IMDb info because, like I said, I came prepared.
One of us
interesting.
did.
I came up with the list like an hour before we got on, but then I, in that time, also got up like Wikipedia pages and stuff. So, according to IMDb, interestingly enough, they are both the same height. They are both 6'4".
I always imagined Bautista as much shorter than that.
Same.
Well,
he seems like
his build makes him look shorter.
Dave Batista is kind of the broad, stocky sort of build, whereas
Yeah.
Jason Momoa is a taller, leaner looking dude, but still very muscular.
Yeah, he is.
So they're both 6'4", and also Dave Batista is 10 years older than Jason Momoa.
Okay. Why not?
So
Like, yeah,
Momoa
because
was
like
born
Batista's been doing wrestling and whatnot for a while.
right.
So
So
I think
Momoa
that's.
born in 79, Dave Batista in 69. So
See, I thought
So
Momoa was younger than that. All right.
I think I'm gonna. I mean, I'm just gonna try to start breaking it down. Really, like you mean you said it. Batista's older, but I mean, with age comes a bit of experience, and he's
Yeah.
been doing professional wrestling for quite a while.
Yeah, he has.
I feel like in a bout that winds up in a grapple, which I think it would
With those two, it would.
yeah, with those two, because they're very. I mean, they're powerhouses, right? They you land a good punch and a solid punch, and that's probably good night Irene. Like,
Right.
yeah, but so you're gonna want to go in for the grapple.
Mhm.
So I think Batista is gonna know and probably have more experience with that, and being able to maneuver and better control his opponent.
Mhm.
I don't know. I admittedly don't know what Jason Momoa's experience with that is. I think he's mostly just been training and bodybuilding and an actor.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like he. And again, I don't know, but I don't feel like he is gonna have the experience to be able to combat that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, to like my knowledge, I don't think he has any like formal like professional level training in fighting. I might be wrong. If I am, I'm sorry, Mr. Momoa. Please don't kill me.
I will add, just reading
oh.
quickly through his IMDb bio, he does not have any professional
Okay.
martial arts training.
Then I think this one. I don't know, with Momoa being more lean versus Batista, he might have a good speed advantage on him though. Now that I think about it, I mean, because they're both like big guys, but I mean, that little bit of mass difference can make a huge difference from somebody's speed.
yeah, I guess
Have
it
you
kinda
guys
depends
ever
on.
seen the interview? Like, there's a video on YouTube where he went on, I think Jimmy Kimmel, I think, or whatever, but he showed off his axe throwing skills. And he's actually
Oh,
he's very good at it.
yeah,
You should check it out. Like, he's surprisingly accurate, and he seems to throw it with quite a bit of strength. So he's got that. I
Right.
mean, that's
Well, and-
obviously different because it's weapons versus grappling. But
right. I might have to give this one to Momoa actually. As much as I'm a fan of Batista, just because like the more I think about that speed thing, it reminds me of an interview he did where before Aquaman, some reporter's like, well, hey, have you been practicing swimming since you're gonna be doing Aquaman? And he just turns and looks at him and says, "Bro, I'm Samoan." In reference to does he know how to swim? So I mean, he'd have that kind of like in his younger year. I don't want to necessarily say training, but he'd have that kind of experience, with water resistance. If it came down to it, I think if Momoa got a good couple punches in, if he could get those punches in before Batista got him into a grapple, I think it would be Momoa. But if Batista can get those grapples in, I'd have to give the fight to him then. So I mean, it's a situational thing.
I feel like though, even with a potential speed advantage, which I don't know how much speed advantage you'd gain from being a swimmer versus
Well,
inland, out of land. I mean,
Right.
that's
I mean, if they're fighting in a swimming
different-
pool, I'm going to give it to Momoa every time.
well, yeah, Aquaman always wins in the water.
Exactly. And sometimes out of the water.
Right. And yeah, I feel like even with a potential speed advantage, Batista's seen that kind of combat before. Like,
That's true, because he's fought again. Because some of the wrestlers he's fought against have been like really quick guys.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get where you're coming from, but
Yeah.
I think
That is a good point.
I think for my part, I'd still have to give it to Batista.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, it's a matter of speed, not speed, but just experience.
That's
I mean,
true.
all things else considered, I just have to go with the experience, especially when fighting someone that's roughly your same size.
You know what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That thinking is just, I think Dave Bautista has some training of some sort and had the experience. And even if Momoa is faster, I just assume that Dave Bautista could take the licking.
Right.
While wrestling is kind of acting, I mean, it
Right.
is an actual real physical thing that does
Right.
cause quite
They
a bit
know
of
how to
injuries,
take a they
so-
know how to take a punch if they have to take a punch.
Right. So I
Yeah.
just think that even with an age difference of 10 years, I think Dave Bautista would win with experience.
Yeah.
Mostly as well. And if he wanted to play dirty, Dave Bautista's bald, whereas Jason Momoa's got those long locks, and he could
Those
just grab that hair
beautiful
and use
hair.
that to his advantage.
Grab the
Yeah.
hair, grab his beard, wherever.
Yeah, he's got that
And then
disadvantage
just
there.
smash his face into his knee.
Right.
Exactly. All right. So I
All
mean,
right. So we got Drax winning against Aquaman then.
I mean, if that's the fight, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I loved Aquaman, but Drax doesn't know
There's-
how to get how to sit down. I'm just saying.
He's called the Destroyer.
Well, and he's mastered
And
the art
there's-
of moving so slowly, he's become practically invisible.
Correct. And there's no fish in space. So
That's true. That's true. But there are ducks.
yes,
Yeah.
there are ducks.
Okay,
Quack.
so consensus then: Dave Bautista
Yeah.
wins in a bout between Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa.
I will say.
Yep.
Now, if either of these gentlemen see this, we're sorry, Mr. Momoa, and we love you, Batista.
Right? Yeah. Please do not hurt either of us.
Please don't. So, all right. So
Yes.
moving on. You want me to go, Ian? Since you were wanting me to lead off, I'll go second.
Yeah, sure. That's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. So here's kind of a little fun one for you, Ian. Vampire Hunter D, or D if you will, versus Alucard in a hunting competition.
All right, which version of Alucard? Are we talking
I will say
Castlevania Alucard, or are we talking Helsing Alucard?
Helsing Alucard.
Okay.
More specifically,
Okay.
I'll say Helsing Ultimate Alucard
Okay.
because that's a superior version. And I will
Right.
say a second Vampire Hunter D movie D. Bloodlust?
Okay.
Bloodlust.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's definitely a callback to many moons ago.
Left hand.
Left hand. So D has some advantages that Alucard doesn't. Alucard may be, the immortal vampire, but he still has some limitations with, like being out in the sun, crossing water and things like that. D is the Dampier. He's the half vampire, so he doesn't have. I mean, the sun weakens him, but he's not going to burst into flames being out in the sun. And he also has the advantage of obviously having Jonathan Winters possessing his left hand that's basically a vacuum. So in a hunting competition, so they're not versus each other
Right.
technically. They're not fighting each other.
It's a battle of skill.
Right.
And
So-
so I'm assuming by hunting you mean hunting people.
Like we'll say we've all seen Lord of the Rings. It's a Gimli Legolas fight. Who can get the most?
Ah, okay.
So they are hunting undead / monsters.
Okay.
Right. So I think again, continuing the line of thought, D, as far as I remember, doesn't really use ranged weapons. He just has his big ass sword, and then left hand. Obviously, Alucard has the 454 Kasul and the Jackal.
Yep.
Which he
I
uses.
have a replica of the Jackal actually
Right.
out in my workshop, but
Yeah,
Full
which
size.
he uses without abandon.
yeah.
So, the other thing is that Alucard's other powers at play here, and I guess it's a question to Tim, are what level of control art is he
Oh.
unlocked to?
I would say Integra being who she is, she would probably start him off with like maybe level 1 because she's like he's Alucard, he's the best there is. He doesn't need all that to go against this guy.
So he does have some spatial,
Hmm.
some capacity to do some spatial goofiness type stuff.
Yep. Some
And
transformations at level 1 as well, I think.
yeah, yeah. So he could, in theory, burst into bats and go hunt that way, or change himself into the demon dog thing. Yeah, pretty much. Um, hmm. Yeah, probably still gonna have to give it up to Alucard. He's got range, he's got versatility, and I mean,
And he's got a better hat.
right. And I think D's only advantage is that he could. It depends, I guess, on how long the hunt lasts.
That's true.
If he gets to hunt during the day, D could hunt at all times, day and night.
Right.
But I believe he does have to rest, whereas Alucard really doesn't.
Yeah.
So I'll have to give it up to Alucard for that one.
Alucard? All right.
So, I had to look up D because I'm only familiar with Alucard. And looking at it, at least according to the what wiki fandom am I looking at? I'm looking at apparently the Vampire Hunter D wiki. So they have a list of their abilities,
which is completely different than the Vampire D Hunter wiki. I'm sorry, I had to.
Yeah, I mean, so at least according to this page, when I look at their powers and abilities, it seems like Hunter D has some pretty crazy abilities. It says in a novel of it, I guess you guys are basing it off of the anime versus other sources, but apparently in a novel, he was able to cut a mountain range in half. And also,
all right, that's new.
And apparently, he also was able to travel. He was able to physically move up to 200 miles per hour in a different story.
I mean, he is pretty fast even in the anime.
I
don't know if they ever clock it, but
yeah, and they had some other abilities. It sounded like he was strong, but then looking at Alucard's thing, it mentions that he, has yet again, depending on what level of power he was able to attain at any given moment, but it says that he has things like gravity defiance and teleportation and shape-shifting, like going into a misty form, and it says that he can even phase through walls sometimes, and all these other things that sound pretty impressive. And I will agree with Ian, like he said, that him being a human allows him to hunt at during the day. But I feel like in most considerations, it seems like, and I remember Hellsing doing some insane stuff in the few episodes of Hellsing that I've seen, and he's also survived an insane amount of punishment as well, from what I saw.
Yeah, he has.
Like,
he
basically
really
just being like straight up dead or like ahead, but then surviving.
Right.
So
it takes a lot to put him down.
Yeah, I will just say that, and I mean, from my limited knowledge, I will just concur with everything that I've agreed to Ian. However, I will just add that based off of that wiki, that Hunter D is quite immensely powerful as well. So I think it would be close, but I think the factors that Ian pointed out would put Alucard just a little bit ahead, even with the disadvantage of not being able to hunt for half the day.
All right. Fair points all around.
Yeah, so I think we're kind of in agreement there then.
Yeah,
sounds like it. Yeah,
Alucard is the better hunter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right on.
All right.
What do you got for us, Ian?
So, I'm going to go with something that's a little bit less physical in this bout, and go for something that's a little bit more cerebral.
Okay.
So we're going to pull in some science fiction here and have two of our favorite AIs duke it out. Cortana versus GLaDOS.
Okay.
Oh.
So are we just saying who is the more superior AI in intelligence and capabilities? Or
yeah, I mean, obviously we're not talking about Cortana piloting, the Pillar of Autumn with a Mac gun versus GLaDOS stuck to
piloting a potato.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, well, all right.
Hmm.
So yeah, who's the superior AI?
I'm going to right off the bat give it to GLaDOS for one simple reason. Her AI lasts a lot longer than Cortana's does. I mean, really, it'd just be a battle of time at that point. As long as GLaDOS can keep Cortana, actively engaged and whatnot after what is it, 7 years, 10 years, something like that. The kind of AI that Cortana is just breaks down. And like
Right.
we've seen that GLaDOS, at least her programming, her operations, and all that can last a lot longer than 10 years.
Yeah,
Right,
Fair.
that,
Well,
that, that
I think that's more of a physical limitation, though,
That's true.
than it is more of a capacity or capability.
Okay, so I mean, if we're talking just pure like number crunching raw computing horsepower,
Yep.
then that's a tough one. I mean, because while I would say that Cortana is the more advanced AI, I mean, ultimately she's bound by what was it, Dr. Halsey, right?
Yeah.
She's bound by kind of her thought processes and things like that. I mean, she's got computing horsepower to run raw numbers, but as far as the way she acts upon that information, because she was based on Halsey's like brain and brain patterns and whatnot.
Yeah.
Versus GLaDOS is just pure, unadulterated, unbiased machinery.
I will
But
say that,
GLaDOS
yeah,
has been shown to change her temperament based on the
they do
situation.
both have personalities and they both have human-like flaws. I will just say that
Well,
GLaDOS on the surface appears to be more, like
malicious.
HAL 9000 kind of thing. Yeah,
Right,
and she's
yeah.
definitely more malicious.
Yeah, she is.
Well, if you do remember, playing through Portal 2, they do reveal that GLaDOS is actually Cave Johnson's secretary.
Yeah, so she was also based on a.
She was. I think she actually was pure human, and then had her like brain transferred into the machine. Because
I didn't remember that at all. Okay,
It's been a while since I played the single player story. I recently did the multiplayer of that actually, which is a different story, oddly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no. GLaDOS is Cave Johnson's secretary that I believe he forced into having her, basically her brain transferred into the machine, which is part of some of her maliciousness. And obviously,
when life gives you lemons, make hand grenades.
So in that case, GLaDOS is the actual like consciousness of a person downloaded into software, whereas Cortana is software that is emulating someone's personality, but is still like an original programming that is AI.
Right.
Like it doesn't have like an organic origin, basically. So that's interesting. I'm also trying to think of just like feats of things that they did. Like Cortana, for example, had to interact with multiple alien species and their different technology and was able to create, understand it, and manipulate very well. Like she was able to do that with all the different Covenant races. She was able to do that with Forerunner technology, and then she was able to do that with what is the group called, and the newer ones like 4 and 5.
Those are Forerunners. They're Guardians.
Yep.
Yeah, like the Guardians is what I was thinking.
Yeah, they're Guardians, but it's
the Forerunner
technology.
But so she had to interact with all that different technology and was able to like interface with like the Halo installations and figure out the different Covenant ships. Whereas, I mean, admittedly, it's kind of a function of the fact that Portal takes place on Earth and there aren't aliens or whatever. So I mean, that's not to say that GLaDOS, should she come up against alien technology, wouldn't be able to interface with it correctly, but we don't have evidence of saying that she could or couldn't. So it seems like computing wise and whatnot, that to me is vastly more complicated and shows she has immense computing power.
Right. See, that does make sense. I mean, just the way Cortana is designed, I mean, what we see canonically, I'm almost wondering if this is a debate of apples and oranges. I mean, one of them is, again, future tech, designed to interface with much more complex systems, multiple systems, versus another one that is effectively designed to, run tests in a warehouse somewhere.
I mean, it's not to shake what GLaDOS is dealing with. I mean, she's dealing with portal technology,
Yeah.
which is obviously very futuristic, and
Mhm.
various other machinery that's quite advanced. It's also hard to tell too, just because
Yeah.
I feel like this says she is put in a situation where she is like a test master and whatnot, and
Right.
she's mostly homicidal.
I
That
mean,
it's hard to see what her
what are
computing
potentials?
capabilities are. However, she is a very good planner, obviously. Like
Yes.
she is very conniving and has lots of, she was able to avoid her destruction in the first game and survive into the second
Yeah.
game. She's very clearly, excellent at making plans and whatnot.
Although
But
the one thing that I just thought of though is, we mentioned that the Cortana's AI is kind of adaptable to what she's doing. We also see in Portal 2 that GLaDOS's AI is adaptable. I mean, they literally put her into a, small pocket-sized computer powered off of a potato, and she's still able to operate mostly, mostly the same. Which leads
I
me to
was
think
also
that she might be able to integrate with other technology. So, I mean, if we put her in, a UNSC carrier, in theory, she should be able to integrate with that.
Okay, that's fair. I was also going to say that I think that GLaDOS is more mentally unstable and therefore puts her at a disadvantage. But you also brought up, while we kind of dismissed it in a way, I mean, Cortana also degrades pretty mentally
Yeah.
and goes pretty insane in like the newer trilogy.
Mhm.
So and also, I don't know, even though she isn't the actual consciousness of a person put into technology, she has her benevolence, I guess, could sometimes put her at a disadvantage, whereas
Yeah.
GLaDOS is so, zeros and ones that
Right.
she can make choices that Cortana wouldn't, that might be more advantageous for GLaDOS. So
Right.
honestly, I think it's pretty.
Plus, if you give GLaDOS the goal of, all right, the goal is to put Cortana through her tests, it's going to be a pride issue for GLaDOS at that point.
Yeah.
And like you just said, she's going to be laser focused on that as her task. She's going to be, devoting all of her processing power to that task. And like you said, she's willing to make the choices that, if that guy over there dies for this test to complete, that's fine. The test completed. Versus, Cortana, Chief, we have to save him. Like he's an innocent.
Yeah.
Or if it's, now if Chief himself is put in harm's way,
Yeah, then she's
woe unto GLaDOS, because Cortana will not stop at anything at that point.
All right.
I mean, it's.
I think we've laid cases down, but now the
Yeah.
typical choice. What do you think you would pick, Tim? Who do you think is the better AI?
With everything said and done, I hate to say it, but I almost want to go back to my original point of it'd be just a matter of GLaDOS biding her time on this one. Putting Cortana through these tests, stressing out her programming more until she inevitably degrades, and GLaDOS can just kind of keep doing her thing until she breaks down and she's the winner. As much as I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to say GLaDOS on this one.
I think that it's, given the fact that we don't have as many comparable things, I think Cortana has been shown to do more impressive things, but I think that's just a virtue of their particular universes, so I kind of don't want to hold that against them. And I do think that Cortana's relatively short lifespan, like you mentioned, I do think that should be a factor in at least some way.
Right.
But also the fact that I think she is limited by her own need to be benevolent, whereas GLaDOS can be much more ruthless, I think might put her more robotic in a way, which is odd, seeing as, that consciousness of somebody uploaded.
Right.
I want to say that I might agree with you. I think it'd be really close though.
Yeah,
but
it'd be a close one.
The only thing that maybe puts Cortana over the edge for me is she's the only AI that to have naughty time with.
You cut out, so all like a only AI naughty time.
The only time is the only AI I would want to have naughty time.
Oh, okay. So I got what I.
So
need
you
to
were
hear
basically got it, yeah. So, but I think I'll go with GLaDOS as the better AI.
GLaDOS, all right.
But barely.
I mean,
it could.
It'd be
maybe it
really
would be
close.
almost a tie. I don't know.
Yeah, I think for my, I'll just. We don't want to have to continue the discussion further, but for where I sit, I'll also just kind of throw this out there. Obviously, GLaDOS was built as a, like Tim said, a test-driven AI. To me, you can't ignore the fact that Cortana was built as a defense military AI.
Ooh, we didn't even think about that.
True.
So she would know how to combat other AIs. Dang
That's
it, Ian!
actually,
I mean, she kind of
That's
does.
actually
She,
part-
she
that
fights
actually
against
part of
Guilty
her-
Spark
Yeah,
and,
that's-
and all
well,
the
that's
other.
actually, if you read some of the extended
Yeah,
canon,
that's true. It is.
in one of the books, she infiltrates a Covenant carrier and has to fight it. Like, she actually fights and murders its AI
Yeah.
because the Covenant carrier has an AI and it's blocking her from taking over, and she actually like literally like murders this AI, like erases it from existence. But it is a battle for her. She's like,
Right, Ian swayed me. I'm going back to Cortana. I was kind of, I kind of already wanted to do Cortana in a way, but I did not remember. I mean, obviously that requires novel info that I didn't know, but
Right.
I don't know. And then I thought about Guilty Spark, and I mean he's an AI, and she had to deal with
Yeah.
him and all the other AI type things. So you know what? I'm gonna go with Cortana.
Well, I mean,
I still think it'd be close.
One thing I think that we can all agree on: the cake is a lie.
the cake is a lie.
Yeah.
We can all agree on that. So okay,
Yes.
so we'll write this one up as a toss up.
I don't think we can call this as definitive. Folks are kind of leaning in certain directions, but I think we'll call this as a tie.
A tie.
Yeah,
A
I think
situational
we're-
based tie.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then I think that brings us back to Keenan.
Okay, so I have this one. This one is also not a physical fight, and it actually
All right.
relates to what I commented just a little bit ago. I think you'll find it funny.
All right.
Okay, so this one is the character Lola Bunny from
Okay.
that was first introduced in Space Jam.
Now, hang on. Space Jam 1 Lola or Space Jam 2 Lola?
I haven't seen 2 yet, so I'm
Okay,
gonna go
so-
with 1.
OG Lola. Okay.
OG Lola. So Lola Bunny from
Right.
original Space Jam versus Roxanne, which is the girl that Max had a crush on in Goofy movie.
Okay.
And this one is not a physical battle. It's
I don't like where you're going with this.
Who made you the most uncomfortable because of like?
So which one made you a furry?
Yeah, which one gave you? I actually wrote it down in my notes.
Can you hear?
Yeah,
can
I
you-
think you. Yeah,
I
I think you
couldn't
cut
hear
out
Keenan at all.
Oh, it's censoring me. I said which one? I wrote it down as who gives you the weirdest boner.
All right, we're having this conversation. This is an NSFW episode, people.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not my hat. That's a condom.
So yes, or I like Tim's wording of it too. Which one? A furry, but it makes you uncomfortable by doing so. So Lola Bunny or Roxanne.
I mean, they were both kind
I'll
of.
let
around
you.
the same
I'll let you
time.
lead off, Ian.
They were both really kind of around the same time. That released.
I can't believe we're
think
having this conversation.
Yeah, I think. Trust me, it's definitely it feels weird. So Roxanne, I think, was designed to be cute, and still like high schooler level cute. Like, wasn't like Goofy's love interest in the second Goofy movie, where it was like almost weirdly overtly sexual, or sexualized. Meanwhile, Lola Bunny herself was like very overtly sexualized. Now, I'm not
I'll
admitting
agree.
to any. I'm not admitting to really having a thing for either of them. But
But you're not denying it either.
Correct. If I'm honest though, but I'm just like I don't know. As
yeah,
I think about it, it's hard for me to remember that long ago because
Yeah.
that was a while ago.
Isn't it sad the 90s? Oh, I was as a quick aside, I listen to the oldies station sometimes when I drive because I like older music.
I don't like where this is
I
going
noticed
either.
I noticed recently that they start playing 90s music now on the oldie station.
Yeah, classic rock also
Well, I'm out.
includes
I'm
like
done.
includes
Yeah.
like 90s.
And I thought
nowadays,
about
yeah.
it and I'm like, well, I mean, for really thinking about it, the 90s it's like, between 20 to 30 years ago now, so
Yeah.
Shut up. Anyway, moving back to the more comfortable topic.
Neither of them is good. This whole question is meant to make us not feel good. That's the point of it.
Well, then I'll go with Ian because I mean, yeah, original Lola Bunny was like she was drawn to get that appeal. I mean, let's call it how it is. I mean, now I can already hear the hate mail now. Well, you're sexualizing a children's cartoon character. Her mannerisms and everything about her were designed to be a overly flirtatious character, and Warner Brothers knew what they were doing. I'm just calling it how it is.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Like everything from her voice to her design to her minimalist clothing. That like they pretty much did everything that they could to make kids furries.
yeah.
Whereas
they
again,
really did.
Roxanne in actuality, like other than
She
her
was like
nose,
she was a cute, plucky character.
right? Other than her nose, like you really wouldn't really distinguish her as a Disney-esque animal.
Right?
Like
yeah.
she had very humanoid, like she was
I don't
incredibly
even
humanoid.
think her fur color was like light
Skin
human
color.
skin color.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
almost,
was like peach. Like
She's one of those hairless cats.
Oh, confirmed.
She's a naked mole rat.
She's a naked mole
Oh
rat.
God. I mean, they do say that she is a dog from I believe in her some extended media, but yeah, I mean even
Yes,
Wikipedia
according to
says
the
even-
Disney Wiki, she is a anthropoid female dog. So there
Yeah.
we go. So she's a bitch.
I mean, in the literal sense of the term, yes, she would be.
Yes. I don't. Yeah. Come at me, people. That
I mean,
How dare you call her that?
probably. I mean, this is probably one of those questions that it's almost one of those like, who do you think has more Rule 34 art?
What? No,
Yeah.
we are not going down that rabbit hole. No.
Well,
so,
Rabbit hole! See what I did there?
Oh, no. So
That's what Bugs Bunny did.
Oh.
So is what I'm hearing the consensus that Lola Bunny is the one that makes you feel the most uncomfortable because she is the one that's the most intentionally designed to be sexual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably have to agree with that. Like she's just very obviously the one that's supposed to.
It's Yosemite Sam, man. I'm telling you. That mustache just.
Yeah, he's clearly the most sexual.
He's rootin', shooting, and gonna give you a tootin'.
That.
Well, now I'm even
much
more
worse.
uncomfortable, but oddly, let's continue this.
But oddly enough.
Right.
I will say for my own 2 cents that I'm younger than you guys, but for me it was like I didn't find these characters sexual. I was too young to even really understand that concept. I will just say that I had like I understood that they were animals, but that also didn't necessarily compute in my brain. So my brain just had like little boy crush maybe on them at most. Of where I was like, oh, they're cute, like regular, 8 or 10-year-olds have about, like high school girls. They think they're kind of cute, but they don't have any like amorous feelings.
There's no context for it.
Yeah. But I will say that now as an adult person, Lola Bunny, like you said, is designed in every way. She, she's like a femme fatale. She moves with her hips. She's got like an hourglass figure. She's got a crop top and short shorts, which doesn't inherently mean you're more sexual, but in that context, it was done to be so. She, kisses Bugs on the cheek and, he like melts or something like that. Like everything about her is done to be enticing. Yeah. Whereas Roxanne is cute, but she's like the girl next door stereotype.
Yeah.
Plus, she's also supposed to be the equivalent of like a 16-year-old.
Right.
So it's just automatically creepy if you want to sexualize her anyway because she's a child. So I will just say that like both gave me, they were both like little boy cute to me, but as an adult now, I'm like, oh, Lola was just supposed to try and make me feel like she's sexy, and I don't like that. Like that, I don't enjoy why they made me think that way, or why they wanted adults to think that way either.
And they wanted to put people in seats. I mean,
I'm one of the people that I was okay with her redesign in the second one, even though I haven't seen the second one. Fine that they wanted to de-emphasize.
The second one is not terrible, but the first one is a classic. My kids liked it. My kids liked the second one.
So I agree. So Lola Bunny is the worst. Then is the consensus.
She's the worst.
She's the one that makes us the most uncomfortable.
I mean, and in general context, I was 9 when a Goofy movie came out and 10 when Space Jam came out. So,
That would have been 10 and 11.
yep. Because as we know, and as I like to point out, Tim is older than I am.
I would have been like an actual infant, so I obviously watched this, you know.
Ah, you would have been but
At
a
least-
glint in your father's nutsack.
I obviously saw this at least like 5 to 7 years after it came out. But
Right.
Right.
All
So,
right. So moving on.
please.
So
yes.
I'll lighten the mood a little bit. I have one that's actually a two-parter.
Oh. Okay.
So Captain Crunch versus Lucky Charms, and which is the better cereal? Followed by Captain Crunch versus Lucky in a fight.
Okay.
Go. So first up,
So, I'll go ahead and lead off here. First part,
and I'll
Captain
say
Crunch.
Captain
and-
Crunch with Crunch Berries is a cereal.
Then it's hands down Captain Crunch. The major component for me is that while Captain Crunch is sweet,
Hmm.
Lucky Charms just feels like I poured a cup of sugar into my mouth,
All right.
and I absolutely hate dehydrated marshmallows.
Oh, they're the best part of that cereal, though.
So, like, you have selected something that is just my anathema. And a Captain Crunch, while it cuts the roof of your mouth, is still I think the better cereal. I like the taste more. It doesn't feel like it gets like when it starts to get soggy, it doesn't feel as awful. Like it doesn't have as terrible of a mouthfeel as when Lucky Charms gets soggy.
All right.
That's just gross. And yeah, just in general, I like. I would say Lucky Charms is not the cereal for me. I'll go with Captain Crunch as a cereal any day.
All right.
But before we get into character fisticuffs, I'll let Keenan go.
Yeah. What's funny is that obviously, I guess this proves that Ian and I are related. I also despise Lucky Charms.
What?
I also hate dehydrated marshmallows. So as soon as you said it, I'm like, well, obviously, you didn't even have to say with Crunch Berries. I mean, that makes it better. But yeah, I do not like Lucky Charms. I don't like dehydrated marshmallows. It's also
What
like
is wrong with you two?
I guess I don't know. We have good taste, Tim.
Okay,
That's what it
so
is.
I wish Kevin was here right now. Kevin, you both know Kevin.
Yeah.
He bought a 1-pound bag of cereal marshmallows and just had a bowl of marshmallows and milk.
Oh, he didn't even have the actual cereal part.
Nope,
He just
like,
had the marshmallow.
It's like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna buy this to put my cereal. No. He just had the marshmallows.
Yep.
He would tell you you're
I-
both wrong and you should feel
Honestly,
bad.
I would say that eating the dehydrated marshmallows by themselves is probably better than putting them in milk because they to me they're even weirder once they're wet.
Oh,
and
but
moistened.
they get even creamier.
I don't know. They feel weird. They're like almost like
It's a texture thing. for
slimy
you.
in my mouth, kind of. I don't know. I also do think it's far too sugary for me. But so yes, I agree with
You're
everything
both
Ian
wrong,
said.
but- Okay.
Yeah, we might be wrong, but
Well, if it makes
yeah,
you
Captain
feel
Crunch
any
Berries is
better, if you makes you feel any better, Tim, I'm also one of the weird people that I don't like Cinnamon Toast Crunch with milk in it. I'll just eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch dry because it's a nice like walking around snack.
Same. I think CT Crunch actually is worse with milk in it. I would much rather just be a snack food. Yeah.
Tim's gonna hang up and just like
We're monsters.
He's just
Wait.
gonna throw his clamshells down.
You
and
know
walk
what? You know
away.
what? I think
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
I think the CT Crunch without milk is less. People in the comments comment how that is snacking food than it is a cereal.
You're both wrong. I don't know how other way to say it. You're both wrong.
I respect your opinion, but you are wrong, sir.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
No, you're just both wrong in any reality. There is no in the infinite multiverse. There's not one where you're right.
All right.
Well, on
okay,
that
Ian,
terrible
go ahead and go.
disappointment.
Now let's go. Now that we've triggered the internet, now let's go with the original fight between Captain Crunch and Lucky.
All right. What do you got?
So
Maybe you'll be right
Lucky,
this time.
Lucky has an advantage here in so much that he has magic, and he has his magic marshmallows, I guess.
Yeah, each of them have like magic. I mean, he like throws them around and they like do the thing that they're the shape of.
Or he just surfs on them.
Yeah.
So I'm not 100% sure like how useful that is, other than maybe like I'm thinking of oh crap, who's the mystic character in Overwatch? The Omnic that has like the little floaty balls.
Robo Dude.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Zen something. Anyway, that's
Yeah.
all like can
Zendaya.
picture is basically just like Lucky using his marshmallows as projectiles.
Just throwing
and-
giant horseshoes.
I feel like
no,
he does
I mean,
that
just
in one of the
basically, like-
commercials, doesn't he? Like just chuck them.
Yeah, and basically
Seen
just
that.
like telekinetically launching marshmallows at Captain Crunch.
Hey, he can
captain-
also create his own Bifrost. He creates walkable, like transversable rainbow.
This is true. The other side of that house, I'm going to say, is that Captain Crunch is a captain. Although his design more indicates that he's like an admiral, but we're not going to go into that.
Admiral Crunch.
Right. So Captain Crunch does have, and he's been shown to have a ship. So he does have the firepower of a naval galleon.
Is he not also designed with a sword? I feel like he has a.
Yes, I don't know if he still has it, but he did have a sword at
He
one point.
did have a cutlass at some point, but
Right. So I mean, assume old school 1500s, 1600s era, maybe even 1700s era sailor. Capable seaman. Shut up, Tim.
You said capable.
Yes. That kind of person and personality, able to command a naval vessel with cannons, and the ability to fight up close. I guess Lucky could maybe take one of his lucky charms and turn it into a weapon, turn it into like a close range weapon, like maybe the shooting star.
I just have this horrible mental image in my mind of Captain Crunch launching a volley of cannons and Lucky just summoning unicorns in front of him to take the blast so that he doesn't get hit. And you just see they just explode into marshmallow guts. Why, Lucky? Why?
and then he picks it up and eats it. And it's like magically delicious.
Wow, that got dark.
I'll send you to the fishes.
Oh god.
I mean, you're Irish, so you can do that.
Oh, hi, laddie. I can.
I also feel like Captain Crunch's ship is portrayed as somewhat magical as well. I feel like he has some kind of like magicalness to him. It's hard
the
though.
magical ability to cut the roof of your mouth.
yeah. I just feel like
still
he's
still tastes better.
You're wrong.
Interesting.
Like they're both good cereals. I'm gonna go with.
So
Lucky
Ian,
Charms,
are you
man.
trying to say that it's kind of a question of the fact that Captain Crunch's portrayed abilities and armaments seem to be more realistic, whereas Lucky is more magical, so it's kind of hard to compare, and also nothing about Lucky is inherently offensive in nature?
Well, offensive as in lacking any offensive capability.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Not
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 offensive.
offensive,
like,
but offensive. Yeah, not
Okay.
offensive, but offensive. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think Lucky's magic will allow him some defensive capability, but I don't know, and I'm not sure the full. I mean, he's a fictional character that has it's in a cereal box, so we don't know what the full range of his capability is. Like his whole thing is, oh, how can I keep the kids from eating me Lucky Charms?
Right.
I mean,
so I
we've
guess if
seen
you
him.
go with-
We've seen him teleport. We've seen him use the magical marshmallows as totems, effectively.
Yeah, I think he basically, like I said, I think whatever the shapes are, he like uses them as that thing. Like one's a shooting star, and I think he like rides it like Kirby does,
Right.
like his little star. And then I think the unicorn, he's like ridden it like a unicorn.
I mean, the hot air balloon. He's
like ridden.
Seems like most of his things are modes of transportation.
Because he needs to get away.
Horseshoes, clovers, and blue
But then,
moons.
like now, I'm thinking of like the shooting star. What if he used it like in Final Fantasy, cast meteor, and then like
Lucky cast meteor.
and uses crash on Captain Crunch's ship or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's going to be, in reality, what I'm going to say, what I feel like is it's going to be more of a stalemate.
Okay.
The captain has very obvious offensive capability, but Lucky has very obvious defensive capability. And it's shown, if we want to say commercials and media is canonical here, it is shown that Lucky's whole thing is being able to escape pursuit and escape, like, capture and other things. So I think he could run in, like, hide indefinitely, but I don't know that he's going to be able to go and actually, like, attack the captain. If it's just a question of who makes it out alive, well, they both make it out alive. Like, they're neither, the captain's not going to succeed in killing him, but Lucky's not going to succeed in fighting back. He's just going to be running away with his nasty cereal.
I think for me, it's a question of, yeah, I agree with the nasty cereal comment, despite Tim's disapproving nod there.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Right.
Thanks, Dad.
I think
that hurts
for
worse.
me, you old man. I will say that I personally think that if it's like just a straight up like hand-to-hand fight, I'm probably gonna go Captain Crunch just because he's bigger, and I mean, I say hand-to-hand, but he also has a sword, and Lucky doesn't have any type of weapon at all. So I'm gonna go with that. If we're going with like all of their abilities are like at use or whatever, I'm kind of with Ian that it's like there just isn't really any evidence to show that Lucky would do something that's attacking.
Right.
But I also don't see Captain Crunch having any ability to do anything against Lucky. Because I think Lucky also can like turn invisible or just like straight up teleport or stuff too.
Right. I mean, you've seen him do some weird stuff.
So he's a leprechaun. He's a magical being that does, weird tricky stuff. So
right.
I agree that I don't think that Lucky is shown to do anything that would necessarily hurt Captain Crunch, but Captain Crunch is not capable of doing anything to him. But if you just force them into a ring and like, duke it out with like your fists or whatever weapons you have on you, I think Captain Crunch wins. Okay.
So tie?
I'm gonna say it's a tie or inconclusive
stalemate.
Or
stalemate.
Yeah.
Stalemate
as the cereal is stale.
Right.
Yeah. That cereal is terrible.
In the two-part battle here between Lucky Charms and Captain Crunch, I think we can thoroughly say and agree that it is a stalemate between the characters. But obviously, Captain Crunch wins as the superior.
Where's my? I can mute Ian from here. How do I do that?
You know what? If you wanted to pick a cereal that we're not just weird about and overly hating, I think you should have replaced Lucky Charms with like Trix. Like Trick cereal and the Trick Rabbit.
You could do that.
Trick Rabbit versus Lucky on who can escape quicker.
Oh, dude. Okay, that's a
whole
save that
fight.
for part 3.
Yeah.
Part 3 is the other cereal battles. So I guess, Tim, in other words, if you're gonna ask us a cereal, pick out the cereal that Ian and I are not really the freaks about.
So what you're saying is, if I come visit and bring Captain Crunch, I don't have to worry about somebody else eating it.
No, well, if you bring Captain Crunch to our house,
Lucky Charms. Lucky Charms.
Yeah, Lucky Charms will be yours. Yeah,
Captain Crunch, wait a minute, it's like I've got a box of Captain Crunch downstairs, and I basically have to treat it like Gollum does because my kids will.
So I'm going to grab something that's just off camera real quick, since we're talking cereal. I have to point this out. There's a mini review here. So, I was recently at a semi-local Walmart, and anyway, so I was recently at my local. Right, I was recently at a semi-local Walmart, and I picked up 2 boxes of this gloriousness, or what I thought was this gloriousness. 1 box was to keep, 1 box was to eat, because I wanted to know what it tastes like.
Right.
You guys ever had Frankenberry?
Yeah, a long time ago.
I just want you to look real close at this cereal here.
It's Frankenberry.
It's just blue Frankenberries. Yeah.
It is literally, or Frankenberry is the strawberry one, right? Because Blueberry is the blue one. Yeah.
Yeah, blueberry. Yeah, blueberry. Yeah.
It's
so it's blueberry then?
No, it's Frankenberry.
Oh, with just the marshmallow bits.
What? No, Frankenberry's got marshmallows.
Yeah, it does.
Yep.
Okay.
It's like I'm kind of sad. It's Frankenberry.
I guess if you want to
go, they sell Frankenberry anymore. Yeah. I don't even think they sell
it. I think it's a seasonal thing in a lot of places now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, I guess if you wanted to go with like a comparable cereal, you could probably do like Count Chocula and Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah, they're basically the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're basically, or like Count Chocula versus Chocolate
Cocoa.
Chocolate Pebbles.
Cocoa Pebbles.
Oh,
Cocoa Pebbles.
Cocoa,
yeah,
yeah,
there we
Cocoa
go.
Pebbles.
Cocoa Pebbles is better. Sorry.
I don't like chocolate cereals, so it's a crapshoot for me. It's like, well, both are gonna be given to my kids because I'm not eating them.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, so I guess we'll move on to the last fight of the night, which I still have a pretty good
Oh,
list.
now I'm
so...
sad that I used my one weird one as my last one. Now I'm disappointed.
You got plenty for round 3.
That is true. I will
Exactly.
save this list.
Exactly. So I'm going to go with a fun one that was actually pretty high on my list last time.
All right.
That I just didn't get around to. So I'm going to go with Samurai Jack versus Kenshin from the Rurouni Kenshin series.
Okay.
Anime.
In a duel?
In a duel. Battle.
Oh.
Swordsman battle. You have Batosai the Manslayer versus Samurai Jack.
Is the intent to kill?
Well, if you want to take it that way. Let's admit this. So Jack never intentionally kills a human being except for in the last season, and then he did it on accident at first, not realizing that it was a human.
Right.
And then just proceeded to murder the shit out of the rest of the
was that a moral code, or was that just because it was the cartoon? Because truthfully, it's been a while since I've seen Samurai Jack, but I mean, I remember him being very skilled.
Yeah, so I mean, it is a fight to win. We'll go with that. Not necessarily a fight to kill, but it is a fight to win. So whether that is
subdue or otherwise incapacitate,
disarmed, incapacitate.
Yes, subdue, disarm, incapacitate, knock out, beat the crap out of, left for dead type thing. Whatever you want to say. The intention is not to straight up murder, but to win the fight.
If that happens, that happens, but it's not a battle to the death. Okay. Man.
I mean, I'll start off by saying that it's kind of weird too, because it's similar to almost like Cortana and GLaDOS in that their universes are stylized in such ways that it's like really hard. Like Samurai Jack, even though he's ostensibly a normal human being, he does some pretty superhuman like feats of speed and strength. I mean, he doesn't do anything overly crazy, but still obviously moves much faster than a regular person.
Right.
He's able to fight off like, crazy powerful aliens and monsters or creatures and robots and drones and things. And I mean, he's able to kind of, in a way hold off against what's his name? Aku? Is that his name?
Aku.
Aku. So who is this giant demon lord kind of thing. So I don't know, like that in itself kind of puts it sort of weird. Where I mean, yes, Kenshin is an anime, but I mean, I'm trying to remember because for me, I've seen Kenshin is the one that it's been a while since I've seen versus Samurai Jack, and I want to say like it's not like, is it like Naruto or whatever where there's like crazy magical abilities? It's not like that. If I remember correctly, it's fairly grounded.
More,
it's relatively grounded, right? Like Inuyasha.
Yeah.
Where
Inuyasha's not grounded.
It is anime stylized, but he's not like doing like shooting like
Yeah, he's not shooting laser beams out of his sword type thing. Right. I mean, he does have, I would say, still some superior human abilities. We can go with superior human via training, whatever you want to say. A couple of things understanding about Jack. He is still human. He was trained in a traditionally human environment. He just trained all over the place. In many different cultures, learning many different styles.
Right.
He does have a magic sword.
That's true.
Oh, right. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yep.
But I believe the sword is imbued with power to destroy evil. So I don't think that could. I don't think that would necessarily provide him.
It doesn't power him up, and it wouldn't work against Kenshin anyway. But it is a provided advantage against him because he's not evil. But
Right.
so that's fair. But I mean, Kenshin also though is I remember him, having it's I guess like for example the thing I'm just trying to point out is that the way that Samurai Jack is styled, like when he jumps or does something, it since it's such a bold cartoony kind of
Right.
style,
It's
it looks
always
like he does.
over
Yeah,
exaggerated.
it looks like he's he could jump like a 50. Whereas I think when Kenshin does comparable acts, it's still more than a person can do, but not as to that same thing. So
Right.
I think style wise, it kind of blurs that line for me.
Yeah.
But so I'm trying to think maybe more just what are like feats that they've done that are comparable,
This is
or
a
maybe
tough one
just
because
who is shown to be a good fighter.
'cause they're both incredibly skilled swordsmen in their own respective rights.
Yes.
The thing that because Kenshin had his reverse blade, the sharp, what
Yeah.
would normally be the sharpened edge was the dull edge, and it was flipped. So I think if it started off being a stalemate, and for whatever reason Kenshin's whole I don't kill was thrown out the window for whatever reason, I think him flipping that blade and using it in an odd stance might throw Jack off a bit because it's not. Jack would see Kenshin go from a style that's very similar to his to what Jack would perceive as a very, very awkward, literal backhanded form of that. So I mean, it would boil down to, in that case, if Jack is skilled enough to be able to quickly compensate for that. I mean, again, even if Kenshin's using, the sharp edge, it still may not even be I'm going to kill Jack. He may just cut a tendon so that he drops a knee, sever a hand, whatever have you.
Right.
So I mean, if he started doing that with the reverse style, it'd come down to if Jack can compensate for that quickly enough. Ian looks like he's going to say something. What do you got?
Lola Bunny hand.
What?
That was my Lola Bunny hand.
Oh God, I hate you so much. I hate you so much. But like I was saying, if Jack can compensate for that quickly enough before Kenshin can cause any irreparable damage, then if Jack can't overcompensate it, I think it would boil down to who has more stamina, who would be the one to finally just say, you know what, I don't have it in me anymore. If Jack can't compensate for it, I'd give it to Kenshin then, because even without a killing blow, it'd be an awkward enough of a style, in my opinion anyway, that he could still do some damage with a sharpened edge that's getting through defenses just from being wielded slightly differently.
My slight counters to that is that Ian pointed this out as well, but I mean, Jack was trained in like a feudal era type Japan initially, but then he goes through the portal and then he encounters all these different cultures and whatnot, but then he picks up stuff from all kinds of people.
That's true. That is
from
true.
different warrior classes, from different alien races and things like that, and mystical people.
True.
I think he's experienced enough different cultures and fighting styles that even though he would initially be like, oh, someone familiar, but then he does something that's off, I think he would adapt relatively quickly
That is
to Kenshin's
a valid
style.
point. Yeah.
I also think that, I guess, if we're going with endurance, I mean, Kenshin has fought multiple opponents at the same time before and has fought, several skilled people as well. Jack has also fought multiple skilled opponents at the same time.
That one, Jack has also fought several times a demon lord, Aku, who realistically, because of his magic, doesn't really have, or if he does have an upper limit to his stamina, it's well beyond human maximum.
Well, and I wasn't even going to use
and
I wasn't even going to use Aku. Like, I know in one of the episodes, he fights like a horde of like insectoid bug robots that Aku sent after him, and it's like at least a few hundred, if not several hundred.
Yeah, he does.
And he fights off the entire thing, and those are large machines that are going to have capabilities greater than a regular person.
Right. Yeah.
And he's able to destroy all of them.
Yeah.
And yet again, this is kind of going toward that it's over stylized, but if we're still taking it as they're relatively comparable within their own style or whatever, I think Jack has demonstrated a greater endurance than Kenshin has.
All right. Yeah,
Um,
I would agree. Based on what we've seen Jack do, I think that he'd be able to hold out longer stamina wise. Yeah.
So I would say that they're probably hard to say, but I'm going to say they're probably about equally skilled. They both don't necessarily want to kill each other, so
Right.
it's not like one's more ruthless than the other. In fact, they're both very peaceful warriors in that same sense. So they have similar mindsets.
Right.
And I just think really the only thing that separates them is who could hold out longer. And I guess I'd have to go with Jack. I think Samurai Jack would win simply because I think he has the endurance to handle it.
Right.
Whereas everything else is basically a wash or equal in my.
Right.
So my vote's going to be for Samurai Jack.
I'd agree on that one because, like you said, Jack is while Kenshin is no slouch by any means.
No.
He's used to fighting normal, everyday people. Jack is used to fighting everyday normal people, and robots, and cyborgs, and aliens, and demons, etc., 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 so forth and so on. Jack's, been through a lot more, in my opinion, difficult fights. Any swordsman with their salt's going to be able to, to have to learn from that, adapt to that, and grow out of that.
In a way, you could say he's got more experience. It's kind of like the Dave Bautista, Jason Momoa thing we did earlier. So yeah, I think maybe Jack's extra experience would help him out as well.
Oh, for sure. So I'll agree. I'll agree on this one, Jack. Absolutely, actually.
I think those are some pretty fair and honest breakdowns. As much as I like Kenshin as a character, they're both really awesome samurai era, level type characters in their own right. So, I think those are some fair arguments. So it seems like we don't. We're finishing up with a definitive victor in Samurai Jack. So
to recap.
Yes, the recaps.
Yep. In round 1, we had Bautista versus Momoa with Bautista as the winner. Round 2, we had Alucard versus D with Alucard as the winner. Round 3, we had GLaDOS versus Cortana with a tie? Question mark. Lola and Roxanne, we had Lola. We're not going to get into how that fight went down. I'm going to mute you guys here real quick, completely unrelated. Captain Crunch, was the definitive winner on all categories. Moving on. Then the last round we had Samurai Jack versus Kenshin with Jack pulling out the clutch win. So we had some interesting ones again tonight. There were no gorilla bear fights, but we still got. I mean, we did kind of with Bautista and Momoa. I mean, they're
basically gorillas and bears. Yeah.
I mean, they're gorillas and bears at the same time.
Yes.
So we had so we still had a beastly fight.
Yeah, I enjoyed a cereal fight though. That's like a realm of pop culture that I did not anticipate. Well, so that's fun.
That one I thought of earlier today, and I don't even know why, but I was sitting in the car and I went, "This is even before we had talked about doing the Versus episode." I'm like, who would win in a fight, Lucky or Captain Crunch?
I love the fact
this is how an ADD brain works. All right.
Yeah. That thought came up without the context of a
and then I'm like, oh, there's my very first one. All right.
I'll say this though. Keenan and I enjoyed the Captain Crunch versus Lucky Charmed episode. I don't.
Where's my meat?
I don't. He did.
So, Ian was actually just saying, everyone, that Captain Crunch is the vastly superior cereal. Keenan is, the video seems to be glitched up or something. Keenan is emphatically agreeing right now. I mean, you can see, he's nodding in agreement. They both concede that Captain Crunch is the greatest cereal of all time, and they would both be honored to be official spokespeople. And Ian actually is even saying that he would love to have them as a sponsor for this show. So absolutely. So, hey guys, it looks like the audio issues are kind of resolving themselves here. I don't know what happened there. That was just really weird.
You should just do one of those editing and
actually the audio is not fixing itself. Yeah, so I actually, in attempts to make a horrible joke, the audio has broken itself here. Why is it not actually working?
Dude.
I broke it. I can hear you guys, but you're not on the recording at all. It makes it even better for me. So, all right. So I guess I'll do the outro here because you guys aren't going to be able to hear Ian. I don't know why my recording software is goofing up here. Do either of you know ASL? Oh, hang on. Talk.
Hello.
Yes.
Talk.
Can you hear us? Are we on the audio now?
Yeah! Yay!
Yay! We're back.
Yay!
Totally worth it.
We discovered that Tim has reality warp. When he says something, it will be so.
Exactly. So, but yeah, this was definitely fun. I enjoy these versus episodes. They're always just the ideas we come
Yeah.
up with and the weird stuff.
Because they're random. Because
Oh, yeah.
I will just say that, like I said, the serial thing is what got me. Is that it's just we're diving into, we're not doing epic rap battles of history or death battles, or what are they called on YouTube?
Death battle.
Yeah, death
battle. We're not doing the ones that are like expected. We're throwing out some weird ones that you're not necessarily thinking about.
Exactly.
And that's what I enjoy.
So if anybody that's watching, listening, or whatever have you, get a hold of us on our socials that Ian's going to pimp out here in a second. Let us know what you guys think about who would win in these fights. Give us your thoughts. If you love Lucky Charms, give us a like. So with that being said, Ian?
Yep. So if you want to, we're going to go ahead and go with the pimping. You can reach us at Love Lola Bunny. Sorry, wrong pimping.
Sorry, that's
Wrong
my email.
That's our Reddit username.
Yeah, sorry. You want me to pimp our podcast social
Yes,
media, not our simp accounts.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry about that, folks. But yes, thank you again for joining us. Thank you also to my brother as our special favorite guest, repeat honorary host. We'll say. And you can catch us on all of our social media. And again, a big thank you to Anchor.fm, who hosts our podcast, who also feeds out to Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and several others. You can find us on Facebook at Non Sequitur Nerds, and you can find us on Twitter at Non Sequitur Nerd without the S, because we ran out of characters.
Yes.
So. With that, we thank you for joining us. We had a fantastic fisticuffs time here, battling it out with both our minds and our mouths.
Did you mention our live Twitch of this every week? Yeah.
No,
I did not. I am
pimp
sorry.
that out.
I am sorry about that, folks. Yes, we do broadcast live on Twitch at just Non Sequitur Nerds, I believe, is our Twitch handle. And then obviously you can find the video recordings of this on YouTube at Non Sequitur Nerds.
Yep.
So I apologize for missing those. I will have to update my script. And
got a script?
No, I was just being dramatic.
I'm like, wait a second.
I'm just being dramatic and waving my hand, kind of off camera.
He's just being modest. He doesn't.
Oh.
He doesn't want to, shell himself out too much. So he forgets every now and then.
Right. This isn't like the Super Friends or anything. And next time on Non Sequitur Nerds.
It should be.
Honestly, I would really like that if that was your guys' like outro every time. I'd be into that.
I mean,
problem though is that we usually don't think up what we're gonna do until like the day that we're gonna do it.
It's
so.
true.
Fair.
It's true.
Next time,
anyway,
on Non Sequitur Nerds, we have no idea, but stay tuned.
Exactly.
Will Goku gather the 7 Yu-Gi-Oh cards to defeat Ash Ketchum's Digimon? Find out next time on Bleach. I just pissed off the entire internet. Come at me, bro.
Yeah.
They're gonna come after you with a Lola Bunny.
Oh god, please no. Please do not tag our socials with your Lola Bunny fan art. I'm sure you're talented artists, but please
You're
no.
just gonna get a lot of links to subreddits that you don't.
Oh god.
You assume we don't get those already.
Yeah.
Anyway, so with that, I think we will go ahead and wrap up for the night. Thank you again for joining us. For those of you who watched live, thank you again for listening to our podcast and YouTube watchers. And we hope to catch you next time because we love doing this. So, yeah, that'll about do it. Thanks again, everybody, for Non Sequitur Nerds. I'm Ian.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Keenan.
All right.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.